Hi, everybody. Welcome to Collector's Catacomb, episode 32. Hello, everybody out in TV land. Got a great show tonight. We have a special guest on the show, Joe Troutman, and he's going to be sharing some of his Transformer collection, his extensive Transformer collection, which you can see in the background. I believe is only a small part of it. If I'm not mistaken, I think around 1,200 pieces or so. That's about right, plus or
Yeah,
minus.
1,200, all different ones, and then if you throw in the doubles or the ones that I use to for the kids when they come over, the nieces and the babies,
There you
that
go.
has more. So
You have to have the spares.
they got to have their section so they don't get into mine.
There you go. So we'll be discussing that tonight. I'm going to be sharing some U.S. military medals and kind of giving a little tutorial on collecting U.S. military medals. So hopefully that'll be beneficial to some out there. I know Dan has some interesting items, varied items, eclectic, to share tonight.
As always.
So eclectic he couldn't share. He couldn't even tell me everything.
I couldn't tell you in one word.
And of course we have Brian here, and he's going to be helping out with some of the moderating in the background, and fielding any questions that people might have. So we'll start off. We'll just kind of go around the room real quick so everybody can introduce themselves. Joe, if you want to tell everybody about yourself, go for it.
Cool. So my name's Joe. I'm a concert promoter in San Diego County. Book a lot of metal acts and classic rock. So
My hair.
Dan me on tonight. And I've been collecting Transformers since I was 5 years old, back in 1984, since day one. And yeah, Dan said I had to show my collection off tonight, so I'm always looking forward to show it off to anyone that'll look. So
you're in the right place. Dan?
Hey, how you doing, everybody? I'm Dan at moreoldstuff.com. You can check out my stuff, my videos, everything, Facebook page, all those goodies. But I met Joe. I met him as he worked at the antique mall that I had a booth space in. So I know him and his wife through there. And actually, I was lucky today. I went picking today, and I found this shirt. It's kind of a mashup of Back to the Future and Transformers. It says time traveler Marty McPrime.
nice.
I said, man, I don't have anything Transformer. I want to wear something for the occasion. And I was looking through this. I go, oh, it's perfect. I just bought this today. So welcome, Joe, and I'll let you move on to the rest of the folks on the panel here and introduce themselves.
Brian?
Hi there, I'm Brian, also known as the Albatross. Just basically an all-around reseller. And tonight's going to be good for me because I was into this stuff and G.I. Joe at the same time. So I'm definitely ready to see some Transformers. I'm ready to see some from my little days of blowing things up with firecrackers.
So those are the ones that are like worth about $500 now, right? The ones you blew up?
Probably.
Thanks, Brian. And my name is Erik Gaishlin. I'm a military collector. I have a Facebook page, Military Collectors of Delaware Valley, for collectors in the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware area. I also am a forum manager over at AlliedMilitariaForum.com. Come on over if you're a collector, or even if you're not, just check it out. And that's pretty much it. I collect Militaria from I guess Spanish-American War up to Vietnam War. So we were going to start tonight with Joe and let him kick off things and share some items from his collection. Hopefully we have enough time to see as much as we can. So Joe, take it off.
Okay. So yeah, I guess like I said, I've been collecting pretty much the whole run through. I outgrew Transformers when I was 10 for about 5 or 6 years. Found them back in my parents' attic and got started again. There's a lot to see. I've got over 1,200 pieces. So I'm going to kind of let you guys kind of guide me as to what's interesting or not if you have any questions. But let me give you guys a quick overview of the room and kind of show you just a little bit about it. And then if there's some certain areas that you guys would like to focus in on a little bit more, I'm happy to do that. So
Yeah,
Actually,
because
Joe, I was gonna say one question: do you collect GoBots, or are they just like off limits?
It's funny because Transformers they end up taking over Tonka, which had the rights, and they renamed some of their lines GoBots, and they made them like these really little tiny crappy ones, kind of as a little stick to poke at GoBots. I'm not opposed to GoBots, but I think I might have one or two, and I put them on like on the train set, which I'll show you guys. I got an old train set that's got the mat on it, and I put a lot of extra guys and just kind of some random stuff on to have a cool little like little scene going on over there.
So one of the things we talk about a lot on this show is we talk about displays and how people display things. We've been getting pictures from people on our Facebook page, and we've been showing stuff. So everybody pay attention because he's got some cool display stuff going on here. So this is what's going to be neat. Go ahead.
Okay, so let me do this. This is my first time doing the camera thing, so please bear with me a little bit.
Yeah, it's all good.
So let's see. Let me pull up my screen. There we go. So I kind of got the room divided into two sections. I've got the Decepticons and the Autobots.
Nice.
You don't mix those guys, huh?
There's 1,200, so there is a lot to see. This here is kind of when you walk in. You see, these are the Decepticons. A lot of these are Generations and Combiner Wars, which are a lot of the. They're basically kind of like the older characters that are updated. As I said, I actually realized I've got the Prime and the Armada line in here too, which are a couple of the newer lines within like the last 10 years. See, so this here is kind of like the big chunk of the Decepticons.
Wow.
So I got 3 shelves, and I think those are about 8-foot shelves, and they go back, 3 or 4 deep. And then the glass case. This is my G1s. A couple Japanese exclusives. There's a big blue guy in the middle of the screen there. That's Overlord. That's one of my holy grails. He is only available in Japan and Europe. That one cost a couple dollars. And then this here's the main G1 case. The top shelf is 1984 and 1985 for the most part. And
There's a Constructabots up in the corner there, Brian.
Yeah, that's Devastator. So I'm waiting. They do have a new Devastator out, but I'm waiting for the Japanese release, which has got all the original weapons and a little bit more detail on it, more paint apps and stuff like that. Sometimes I would get them both, but this one here, it had enough extra on the Japanese version that that I kind of wanted to tough it out and wait till December.
So Joe, you were calling him G1. What does that mean?
So G1 is kind of what most people refer to as the original line. That's from 1984 through 1990 in the U.S., and then it went to 1992 in Japan and Europe.
G1 the G would be Generation, correct?
Generation 1.
Okay.
So over here some more Generations and some Masterpiece lines. But anyways, they started calling them G1 after when they kind of rebooted it. They named the second line Generation 2 or G2, and then so after that, that's when G1 kind of retroactively became G1.
Now that was Soundwave and Megatron up there on that other shelf, right?
This is my Masterpiece shelf. So these are almost all of these are from Japan. And I was talking with Dan. This guy right here, that's Exhaust, and he's got a kind of an interesting story. He was a big release. Everyone was looking forward to him. Actually, let's stay up here for a second. So he's the original mold for this in 1982 or 83 was a Diaclone mold that turned into Wheeljack. Well, his first colors, these colors here, were based on the Marlboro race car. And he kind of became a fan character that they named Exhaust. You'd see him in like some fan fiction and like, in the background of some of the comic books. So they released the Masterpiece, and Marlboro got a cease and desist to sell him anywhere in the world except for in Japan. Due to cigarette laws and marketing and aiming them at kids.
Oh, wow.
So that guy's pretty hard to is pretty hard to get. Now they've got a bunch of knockoffs and clones, so you can get something like him, but that's actually the one that's released by Takara. So
And there's the cosmetics.
That's cool.
so other masterpieces. These guys, the engineering is just amazing on these. They're super intricate. They're super detailed. The robot modes, they try to get them just like the cartoons. And then the vehicle mode, same thing. And like right now, this is the line that like everybody just like totally loves. This shelf here, these are a lot of video game characters from the War for Cybertron and Fall for Cybertron games. And they kind of fall into the generations, which again is the kind of like when they updated the characters with newer molds and just kind of updated looks. And if you guys see anything again, feel free to have me slow down and stop or move the camera because I'm behind it, so I'm kind of doing my best to get the best picture here.
Joe, who is your favorite Transformer? Like as a kid or just even now? Has it changed?
I hate saying absolute favorite because I've got several favorites. I love Megatron. He's cool.
Oh no.
Hold on.
Oh no.
Oh.
Okay, hang on. Maybe it'll.
Yeah, I think he got booted off last time. Hopefully that doesn't happen.
Technical difficulties. I think an Insecticon got to his computer.
The Viracon.
Right.
He's there.
There we go. We got you back.
Hey.
So she got me him. Basically, as our 1-year anniversary, that was her way of telling me that she wanted the ring. That was kind of my holy grail because he was only released in Japan.
Joe, step back like 2 minutes. You kind of froze up there for a second, so we missed a lot of that dialogue there.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
It's all good. Not your fault.
Okay, so basically, yeah, Star Saber, he's one of my favorites. My wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, got me this one here. Still sealed in the box. It was our 1-year dating anniversary. And that was kind of her way of telling me she was ready for the ring on her finger, which she quickly got there afterwards. But I got it home. It had never been opened, never been touched, from 1989 Japan only. And she made me open it up, put the stickers on it, and play with it and everything else. And she got the ring on her finger pretty quickly thereafter. So,
Nice.
Fortress Maximus, this year is another big grail. This was the biggest Transformer ever. He just got beat out by like 1/4 of an inch with the Generations Metroplex.
Well, wait. Is Metroplex, is that the one that changes it into like a station, or is it him? I can't remember.
Well, Fortress Maximus turns into a big city, and then
that's
Metroplex goes too.
Okay.
This is the original Metroplex, so he's got not even half the size of Fortress Maximus.
That's the one I remember. Okay.
And then they re-released him. I'm going to skip ahead real quick and just come over. So that's Metroplex now, and he's gigantic. He's like, I think he's over 2 feet tall. So, this is really hard angling the camera, right? So
it's all good. We can see it.
Yeah. So I'm going to come back over here. So these are the Autobots and Maximal shelves again. Top line is basically the early 2000s. The top row, that's the Unicron trilogy, which is Armada, Energon, and Cybertron lines. Middle is Beast Wars, including some of the Japanese Beast Wars. And then the back there, behind the big guys, is those are the movie figures from the 4 movies. So, and then again the case, which is the G1s again. And when people think Transformers, they're almost always talking about G1. That's kind of the one that brings a smile to everybody's face. That's the one that everybody knows the characters, and even with the movies out as popular as they've been, I think most people still think, when they think of Bumblebee, they think of the Volkswagen Bug, or Megatron is the pistol, and
So if you were to find those, if I'm out, picking or whatever, and I pick up one of these, are they dated? Are there marks on them, like with the year? Is that how you kind of can get a really good idea that they're which generation they are?
Yeah, it's part of that. A lot of it too is like in the plastics that they use. So I mean, you can look at the stamping. However, they re-released a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
And I can't tell the difference when they're next to each other. There's little ways, and you really got to dig them up. But even the re-releases will still have the original stamping on it.
With the original
Really?
date too, or so I know like the ones I have, like we'll say 1984 or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah. The old ones or the new ones will still have the same stamp on it.
Because they're just using the same mold, pretty much. Is that why? Or
Yep, same
okay.
mold, and
Okay.
the Takara, like, they care about the collectors, but they're not making money off of selling stuff secondhand. So,
Yeah.
okay, remember I was saying that I got the train set?
Oh wow, look at that.
Okay, I can't see this at all. So this is completely blind. But I put a little Creo Terradrome in there, and then and a couple other little like Creo guys and some doubles and
Are those micro machines over there to the right? As a constructive box, did they do a micro machine line for Transformers, or is that just
you know what? It's funny that you say that. That's actually a knockoff set.
okay?
Decepticons that I got. Honestly, I got them because they had their guns were nicer than the ones I had.
Okay.
But, they did have. Let me see. Where is he? Right back there. I don't know if you can see him. He's kind of back in the corner. It might be too dark. But they did a smaller line of Constructicons, and then they did a couple other ones. But I do have the Devastator version of that. So I don't know if can you guys see it?
It's a little dark, but
That's
I think we can. Yeah. A question, Joe. Now I know like Godzilla, for example, Godzilla toys. Sometimes the knockoffs can be worth more than the originals, or the actual like Bandai produced ones. Are there Transformers that are knockoff Transformers that have a collectability, or do you even know if they are or not?
They do. I mean, there are knockoffs because China will get the mold but usually the plastics are inferior.
Okay.
They're more brittle. They're not put together as well. They break. They're not quite as tight. So I don't think that the like a straight up knockoff is going to be worth anything more. Actually, it'll be usually considerably less, like a fraction, like a tenth to 50%, if that.
I guess are there original knockoffs that might have been knockoffs at the same time Transformers were out, and that's kind of what I'm looking at. Like, I know they're probably producing them today as knockoffs, but are there ones that were from the period from the 80s that are knockoffs that have collectability and
You know what? Yes, but it's kind of actually backwards. And when I say it's backwards, the way Transformers started, it was Hasbro went over to Japan, and they were looking for new ideas. And there were a couple of lines out in Japan, Diaclone and Microman, and Hasbro liked them, and they weren't flying off the shelves over in Japan or anything. So Hasbro basically brought the rights to it over in America. They hired some comic book writers to give the characters backstory, and my autograph poster by Optimus Prime and Megatron.
nice.
But so, anyways, they bought the rights to the moldings and stuff, repainted them, and then they became Transformers. Then they the comic book series and the TV series all at the same time. So there we go. I'm back.
I heard that the writers who did the cartoon in the 80s absolutely hated it, and they basically dialed in the dialogue and the animation. Is that something you've heard before? I heard that they it was just kind of a joke for them. They just bumped it out, and there was really no time or effort put into actually creating the show, which is shocking because looking back at it, I think the animation still holds up to today. I've watched the old original episodes, and they still are fun to watch, and the animation's pretty good.
Well, actually, those are good questions that I know a little bit about. I'm actually friends with some of those guys, some of the writers on Facebook, and some of the voice actors. I've met them at BotCon and become friends with them. Yeah, they're music fans or whatever. They actually took the voice casting extremely seriously. The main voiceover director, he actually signed that poster too. Wally Burr, he was I believe an ex-drill sergeant or platoon leader or something, and he did some different things, and he really was very, very strict with the voice actors, and that's what got such emotional readings out of them. I mean, you don't really see a lot of that. I think what people like is they were really able to relate with the characters. The characters had depth and real personality behind them. As far as the writers went, the ones that I've talked to, they were actually pretty passionate. They said Transformers was a little harder to write for than G.I. Joe, especially to begin with because, they're taking a brand new concept of cars that can talk, and it kind of sounded silly until they really kind of started getting involved with the characters and started making the characters their own, and then they really got into it, and they enjoyed it. Of course, you have continuity problems because you're putting so many episodes forth in a season. I think some of the seasons had like 60 episodes, 60 half-hour episodes.
Yeah.
So, you can get some continuity problems. You can have some animation problems as they did the animation. I believe most of it was done in Asia. So,
okay.
It's hard to get, and they said, it was hard to get that much right with such a rush job done on it. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Collect any like original photo cells or anything like that from the original? Have you ever picked up any or come across any?
I haven't. I've got
or cartoon cells, I guess would be the correct term.
Yeah. Some of the movies and the DVDs I've got have come with them. I don't even know which ones have them, but like some of the box sets I think would have them. They're replicas, I'm sure.
Okay. Yeah. I think the first season came with a bunch of I think it was a silver box set for the first season that came with the photo cells in them and everything. I was talking more original ones. I weren't sure if you were like that into it where you were picking up, you're strictly the toy line, not everything encompassing.
The toy line is my favorite, just because you can do more with it.
Yeah.
If I see something cool, I'm going to pick it up. Mm-hmm. But, I haven't really stumbled across much of it. I don't really go searching on eBay for tons of it. And it's like, this is 30 years of collecting, so it's not like I'm out spending hundreds of dollars every week on it. It takes a while, and when I see stuff, I stay pretty current with the new stuff that's coming out. But we do go to BotCon when it's close by, especially, and we pick up some prints, and I don't know, you can kind of see them in the corners of the room, poster, and actually up on the top I've got the BotCon exclusive when they turned them into a heavy metal band. They rewrote it where Optimus Prime and Megatron were in a band together, and when the band broke up, that's what started the big war. So that was the Comic-Con exclusive a couple of years ago.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you're on the right coast for all of this. Just between Comic-Con and all that stuff. So it seems like now do you do where do you find most of your stuff? Do you like buy out old collections, or do you do eBay, or like a combination of all of that, or?
Every once in a while, something on eBay. Like if I'm just like really getting a fiending for a piece, I'll pick one up on eBay. I have a friend that's in Riverside whose collection dwarfs mine. I'm at 1,200. He's at probably 7,000, and he'll buy like 10 of each, and he's got all the different variations, and so he tends to keep me current on the newer stuff. Like he finds the distribution is kind of tough on him. So you really got to hunt them down if you're just looking at Toys R Us or getting the Japanese exclusives. It's kind of tough. So the new stuff I get from him for the most part, and then every once in a while eBay's got the best bet, or BotCon, or Comic-Con, or there's Frankensons in Los Angeles, which I finally went to for the first time, and they're just a warehouse of used toys, and they have 250 dealers there that all have retro vintage toys.
Yeah, we were talking about that. It's like a toy swap meet that meets twice a week, Wednesdays and Saturdays up in LA, and there's like 250 vendors, and all they sell is toys. So Joe went up this week. I'm gonna pick a Saturday and go up there because I think that'd be kind of cool.
You'd like it. The Transformer selection was definitely not what I was hoping for. There was like 2 or 3 that I was like, okay, I don't have that one, and those dealers weren't there when I saw it, so they were caged off. And but I mean, they had a lot of loose ones, a lot of broken ones, a lot of missing pieces.
But they had a lot of Star Wars.
They had some Star Wars. They had some cool third-party ones. I don't do the third-party; they get really expensive. But that's kind of been the big craze now. Is like they're making some third-party Transformers that are super expensive, but they're so.
Do you know what's his name? Jordan. He used to have a show called The Toy Hunt, or the Jordan Hembrow, I think his name is.
Yeah, I am friends with him on Facebook. I haven't met him or anything.
Okay.
I think we've just had a little bit of Facebook dialogue, but that's it, really.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you source anything through him or anything like that. Just curious. It seems like It seems like you know a lot of people. Just from the show, obviously, and in the collector. So I wasn't sure how deep it was, as far as who you knew and things like that.
I do know. So I know him a little bit better, but the brand director of Transformers, the global marketing director.
Oh, really?
Jerry Javoine, and I met him at Comic-Con. He's a big metalhead.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
So, we talk a lot of metal, and I only have a handful of friends that I can really get geeky with on the Transformers. So we'll talk metal, Van Halen, Megadeth, whatever, all those bands. But the minute I'll be like, hey, have you thought about doing this? I never get a response back, like nothing. So
really?
I can't talk any shop with him. I'm sure he's like, it's more top secret than Hillary Clinton's emails. So.
So you don't have first rights at any what are they called? Before they actually put the toy line out, what are they called? The
Insider
prototypes.
The prototypes, yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Oh man, I wish. So, especially with some of the stuff that they've got coming out now, like I like that's kind of like my secret dirty fantasies that I get the email from him and. Hey Joe, you want to test out the stuff? We'll give you everything. But I haven't got that email yet, so
One day.
You need to start a video log like a show like this where you get these new products that are coming out like that, and then you might be able to be the one that
Yeah, if you got enough YouTube hits and.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'd love to do it, and. He's up in your neck of the woods. They're up in Rhode Island. Hasbro is. So.
We know somebody who works at Hasbro.
At Hasbro. He's a designer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
He's been on our show. He's a military collector, but he's a friend of the other Erik who's not here. But yeah, we were trying to hit him up for Star Wars
prototypes. And
yeah.
It never happened.
Well, yeah, I'm sure those guys get a lot of love. I mean. But like even with me, I get hit up on occasion. Certain concerts, everybody wants tickets to, and then there's certain concerts that nobody wants tickets to, and those are the ones that scare me. But sometimes they do well too. So, and I'm sure they're the same. Everybody knows someone that is a fan or something, especially with the success that the movies have had and all the new interest that it's resparked into the line. So.
Hey, tell them about. So one of the topics we're going to have tonight is, what weird things do you collect? And I know you have you staying in the realm of Transformers, you have a weird Transformer. So tell us about the weird part of your collection.
You know what? Let me grab him real quick.
Okay.
I want to talk for a second because I think I'm going to have to actually jump up on the shelf. I should have grabbed him up sooner. But, with work and everything, you get a little distracted. So if you guys want to chat for a second, give me about a minute and a half, and I'll take it out.
Sure, no problem. Yeah.
I can only imagine what this is going to be. Is it Dan? Is it a likeness of Dan that transforms?
Well, it might be. I don't know. When do you see this? This is funny. Yeah, I hope you guys. I was thinking about the weird things that, what's weird that I collect, and I did show something already. I'm thinking I collect like dairy farm stuff, and
I wouldn't
I've
say
got
that's
a
weird.
cream separator in my living room, which I don't think happens in a lot of homes around here. So that would be kind of my weird thing out of anything, because I got this whole corner of my house has got dairy products in. 2 different cream separators and milk cans and bottles and butter boxes and cream a butter maker, butter churns. So that's kind of my weird collection, because I was trying to think of anything else. I mean, I have found some weird stuff that I don't collect, but that I have resold, like snake skins and animal bones and whale vertebrae and some really bizarre things that I've found, but nothing that I actually kept except for this. Except for the cream.
Well, that stuff sells pretty well too, though. Weird always seems to sell well, so
yeah.
I'm sure that you'd rather move it on than
Yeah.
So
we got here. Oh boy.
this isn't the weird part yet. So this is a Japanese Transformer from, I believe it was Beast Wars 2nd or Beast Wars Neo, but his name is Heinlad, and he doubles as an alarm clock. When you pop his head up, you can set it, and then you got to push the head down, to shut it off. But it actually does work. Let me see. I think actually does work. But what is his mode is his alternate mode is a tanuki, which is a raccoon dog, and the raccoon dogs are known in Japan for having very large testicles, and they will, in a lot of like the anime and the hentai or I don't know, anime, I think, they'll have these things, and they will play their testicles as drums. And when you transform him into the raccoon dog, he actually has some little testicles hanging out at the back. As well as his sake jar here. And then,
nice.
And then this is a box that they keep their IOUs in, because the Tanukis, they're drunk and they're always borrowing money to pay for their sake.
Oh my gosh.
There you go.
That's cool. That's a cool weird thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, let me see if I can put them together real quick. It's been a while, and there's a lot of these to remember, so I'm gonna do my best on it. If you guys want to talk a little bit while I tinker.
I got a little subject that falls along the weird and a little bit about what you're talking about. From what I learned from the Toadcast days, Sean Cool Toads had what he called the Toadcast, antique toothpicks. There was a whole segment about those. And it turns out the antique toothpicks were made from penis bones of certain animals.
Nice.
Yeah, that was...
Well, now, if it was human, then I'd have concerns, but I guess animals is acceptable.
Definitely.
Well, I think I'd rather take the porcupine quill and pick my teeth with that instead of the penis bone. But yeah, that was an interesting show that night. Especially when everybody's getting a good laugh off of it. Then Chad Pagel, Mr. Golden Finger Picker, comes in eating pizza. And we just started asking him if he needed a toothpick.
I'm just getting closer with this guy. Got to snap a couple little pegs back in.
So I know I asked you this, and I know Eric was talking to you about it earlier about boxing, whether obviously almost everything you got looks like it's out of the box. Do you keep the boxes somewhere for all of those that you have?
I do for most of them. Occasionally I'll buy a loose one that doesn't have a box. But I do keep, and then he can hold his little IOU box in the sake jar. So definitely weird accessories for Transformer, but I keep them on a lot of like the masterpieces, and I keep them on some just like the bigger pieces because the artwork's really nice. They look really cool. I can the rest of them I've got in trash bags and banana boxes in attics. I honestly, I really should throw them away. That's the one thing I do kind of feel like a little bit of a pack rat on. But
You could probably resell those though.
Oh,
'Cause
the
they make
boxes.
reproduction boxes.
Yeah.
you can. They do sell. Especially some of the G1 stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, actually, these are the Masterpiece boxes here for a lot of them. There's a Masterpiece Star Saber box and Ultra Magnus. A lot of these are the Japanese ones. And then let's see. Yeah, these are some of the new Masterpiece boxes.
Oh, cool.
And then I don't know if you guys can see that. Again, I can't really see the screen.
Yeah.
Hey, those,
Oh, you got
there's
Voltrons mixed in. Slow down.
there's Voltron.
Yeah, I got a Masterpiece Voltron. But that's the Star Saber. That's the one that the wife got me, and that's the Victory Leo box.
And the He-Man.
Gotta have a He-Man. Everyone needs
Absolutely.
a He-Man. And
Now here's a
the,
serious
the Skeletor with Molar from the Robot Chicken.
Oh, there you go. Awesome.
That's the Overlord box, and I got this helmet here signed by Peter Cullen, who voiced the.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
So,
Now that you got that stuff up there, do you have any G-Force?
G-Force. Oh my God, I haven't seen G-Force in forever. No G-Force. I do have this, which is kind of interesting. Whoops. I've got a transforming shoe.
Huh.
And this is like its official Transformers product. It's got shoelaces on it and everything, and turns into that robot.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
It's just one shoe?
That's Nike? Is that actually Nike, or is it just kind of...
Yeah, it's Nike, and when you, I don't know if you can see it. Here, I'm gonna sit down here so I can get a better view. But the robot, if it'll focus, he's wearing the shoe that he turns into, the Nike
wow.
shoe. So, yeah, so his shoes look like that on the robot.
That's awesome.
This is kind of weird. Shoes usually come in pairs.
One shoe.
Yeah, I didn't want to pay that much for an extra one, so I got my weird oddball one, and that makes me happy. So.
No, that's cool.
What year is that from?
This one,
The Nike shoe, or yeah.
let's see.
Is that was a Japan only, or was that released in the U.S. also?
This one was Japan.
Okay.
So I'm trying to look for a date on it somewhere. I want to say it's like 2007.
Okay. So it's relatively. It's almost 10 years ago. Wow.
Japanese are getting all the cool stuff.
So yeah, and it's kind of cool. They get some weird oddball stuff in there, and it's fun to pick them up. Like I love having the new ones for the kids too, because they're really freaking bulletproof, and it keeps them happy, and it teaches them how to respect mine. All the little kids, they've never broken any of mine yet, so that's everyone always wonders, what do you do with the kids around, and one of them you got to keep an eye on, but they don't really get into it too much. So.
Yeah, I don't think you said anything about this, but Joe has a 3-week-old boy that will one day very soon be crawling around those floors. Have you thought about child-proofing and be able to climb up those shelves and all that stuff?
Yeah,
we all have kids. We know what that's going to be like.
Yeah, I've read on the Facebook forums that if you teach them real early that there's just certain things they don't get into, then they don't until they get older. But if they're really good, usually they're okay. I'm hoping that's how it works.
My kids were the same. My kids are actually, I have around my entire room military stuff, small items, big items.
Yeah, guns on the wall.
Yeah, and surprisingly, they don't touch any of it. They don't go near it. They don't touch any of it. And if they do, they ask me first, because we have I take them to like antique malls and places like that, and I instill in them from the beginning. I'm like, here's you don't touch anything unless you ask to touch it, and they're very good about it. So yeah, I mean, there's truth to that, but sometimes there's still that time period when they're toddling,
Yep.
And you never know what they're going to grab on.
Maybe the fact that he's growing up around all that, it's just like going to be commonplace.
That's
it's
what I'm
not gonna
saying.
be,
Yeah,
It's not going to be like you said, your niece and nephews come over and then they're like, oh my God, look at the toys. It's not like that. It's like he grows up in it, so maybe that'll be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a little collateral damage there somewhere.
If like the best thing it's worked really well is if I focus them to their own little shelf.
Yeah.
And they do good with that, and they love it, and actually they take better care of the Transformers theirs than they do any of the other stuff they've got here.
Yeah.
That's cool that he does that.
Back, and they're real gentle with it, and they love them, and that's the nieces even, so. And then our son, Rachel actually picked the name out, but his name is Orion. And
nice.
yeah. So if you're a Transformer fan, like a big fan, in the cartoon, before he became Optimus Prime, he started off as Orion Pax.
Yep.
It was weird. Yesterday morning, I left the house at about 5:30, and the sky's still dark. And right up above me is Orion's belt. I could see over the whole constellation of Orion right above the house. It was kind of cool. I thought, oh, that's cool. I should have wake Joe up and say, hey, look, your son's namesake to the sky.
It's funny. I didn't want to name him straight up like after a Transformer because like seriously that would be kind of lame. So we did.
I think if I was named Optimus Prime, that'd be kind of cool.
Absolutely. You'd be the coolest kid in class, man.
So I tried, if we have a daughter, naming her Meg, like Megatron, but
there you go.
We did look up, like, we got into Orion, like the Hunter from the constellation, and he was a badass. So the name definitely we were really happy with it.
Yeah, there you go. That's right. My brother, my dad was a huge GNR fan, and my brother was almost Axel. He kept pushing it until the day before. Luckily, my mom, didn't take him serious at all throughout the entire process, and he got an honest name. His name's Thomas, so nowhere near. But I thought it would have been cool for him to be Axel. It would have been original.
Well, you'll see Guns N' Roses back soon. Just watch. Like, because I booked pretty much everyone except for Slash and Axel. I've had Izzy and Dizzy and Duff and Matt Storm, Gilby Clark, and Steven Adler quite a few times, and not directly from them, but from people in the camp. Slash was getting divorced from his wife, and they made sure that feud kept on going right until the divorce was absolutely 100% finalized. Right after it was 100% finalized, him and Axel are buddies again.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he wanted to make sure that divorce was done.
Yeah.
And she only got that side of the money before he goes back for the real.
Nice. Convenient.
So expect to see a Guns N' Roses reunion sooner. Sooner.
Well, I won't be holding my breath because after the spaghetti incident taking like 20 years to come out.
About Chinese democracy, I tried listening to that, man, and some people love it, and I just can't get into Chinese democracy.
Yeah.
So, but I guess that's another subject, right? So,
yeah.
That's the next Collector's Catacomb. We're going to talk about music.
There you
go. I got to keep that to the Transformers rock band over there, the comic. So.
Yeah, you were telling me that you've had rock bands in your living room checking out your Transformers and.
Oh God. Yeah, so not so much now, but especially when I was a little bit younger, we'd have touring bands, and we had a rock and roll bachelor house, and stuff that I don't really want to talk about now that I'm married and all, but we would have a lot of bands come over, and that was the first thing. The seasoned veteran bands that had been over before always got to show the new bands, either if they're coming over with a headliner or if they are the headliner, they would always want to show off the Transformer collection. And Canadian bands in particular, they really like to smoke a lot of things that's now becoming legal in the U.S. And they smoke a lot of it, and they will teach the most seasoned veteran that's been around it. They will teach them a million new things about how to smoke that stuff. And I had one band in particular, and they would come over and they would sit in my garage for hours. A couple of them. Now he's the lead singer of a really big band called Iced Earth. But I would go back in the garage, I would go to bed, I'd go in the garage the next morning where they were set up in this house, and he would have probably 15 to 20 of them in various sexual positions on the shelves, and it was kind of like a Where's Waldo for me. I had to go and find them all and put them out of these positions and get it back to normal again. So, and every time, and I think I had them. They were in a smaller band at the time, but I had that particular band. They were from Canada. I had them about 12 times in a year.
Was it Nickelback? You can tell if it was Nickelback.
Oh, no, but I have partied with those guys. But yeah, they were banned into it. I actually invited them to watch the show, so I'm wondering if we'll see any comments from Tim Roth or Troy on here. So I think get a kick out of seeing the collection on YouTube that they're very familiar with. So, but
awesome.
Yeah. So
whenever you sent those guys on the world tour, did you have them go get your Japanese stuff for you?
I've tried every time and no luck. So, but luckily my guy from Riverside, he's keyed in with the Japanese buddy that ships the stuff over. That's how he picked up that exhaust and a couple of these other guys that I don't have to, give my left arm to pay for them, to get them imported. So, but yeah, lots of cool stuff. I am complete from 1904 to 1987 on the Autobots, which is the years that follow the cartoons. I need 2 more for the Decepticons. I hate buying those ones for myself, just because it's a lot to spend. But I'm hoping, maybe Christmas rolls around or something to be complete with the entire U.S. cartoon run. I also have all the Autobot leaders from all the main lines. So there's like over 100 Autobot leaders. Most of them are Optimus Primes, but then you get like Star Sabers and Rodimus Prime and Diatlas and a couple of the other, odds and end ones. I need 1 more Decepticon leader. So.
Who are the guys with I think it's 4 faces?
Yeah.
Oh, the Quintessons.
Yeah.
So, the Quintessons, they're supposed to be in the new movie coming out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they're talking about getting them in the new movie. When Optimus Prime goes off to find the leader, their creators or whatever, those were the Quintessons. And, who knows if it's rumors or what, but the rumors are that they are supposed to be in the new movie. They do have a third-party company that has made some, and if there was a third party to get, that would probably be one of the main ones I'd like to get. So they did make an Energon called Quintesson something or other. I do have him, but he only has 3 faces. But they are all the faces from the old cartoon. So.
Now, did they ever make an actual toy of those?
No, just the third-party one.
Yeah.
So, and then they did have an Energon one, but it was different. It was like he had 3 faces. Let me see. You know what? I don't even have it. Like he's one of the super hard to get to ones. So he's up on the 3rd shelf and he's got about 4 in front of him, and so that one. If I tried to get him out, you would see an avalanche, and it would be very entertaining for you guys. But not for me. So
I think that's what Brian's trying to get going.
Yeah, I mean, I try to keep my language down, especially with the baby, but I do get one and I got to get in those glass cases. I'll try to put the new one up, but then that'll knock 3 down onto the next shelf. That'll knock 4 down onto the shelf below that, and then the whole bottom shelf falls, and I'm getting 4-letter words out, and because you can't hit nothing, because then you'll knock the rest of them over. So definitely the biggest challenge about having a collection like this, man, is the you get a little tremor, an earthquake. The girl next door is a little bit on the heavier side. When she comes up here, they start dropping. So. But yeah, so I don't know. Do you guys have any questions? Anything that you guys remember from them growing up? Any ones that you wanted to see? Nostalgia wise.
The team I want to see.
That was the Insecticons.
Yes.
So okay, let me show you those. I have some new ones boxed, and I don't know where the box went. It's in a bag somewhere, and I don't even know it's here. But I do have some of the old ones, and I don't even have their guns. I forgot. I didn't get their guns out with them, but so there's the Insecticons right there. So that's also got the deluxe ones. but you got your three main ones: kickback, bombshell, and shrapnel from the cartoon. The new ones, they came with energon cubes, but I never opened those because, like I said, since I already got those guys, I didn't want to open up, if I didn't need to. They did make some new versions of them though, like, let me see, where are we? Okay, so that's kickback, and then down here you've got shrapnel and bombshell, and they lost the rights to the name shrapnel, so they're calling them scrapnel now. So, but the new ones, man, the new ones are so cool, dude. Like I love what they've done with all the new engineering and all the new detail work. They're so much more intricate, and they display super well. They're really, really posable. It makes me feel super uncreative because I've just got all mine standing there, with their guns like that, or just really boring positions. And I see some of these people do reviews, and they got them looking like supermodels and just these super cool poses, and I'm like, God, it's
rappelling down from the ceiling, and
it's amazing. Like, I can barely get them to stand up half the time without them tipping over, and these guys got them like freaking all sorts of kung fu stuff and army action poses, and yeah. So you can do that with them now. I just don't have the patience to try it. So.
Do you do so? All right, so do you have you ever done any any other YouTube shows like openings and things like? I know my kids, they love watching. There's a channel called Open More Toys, and the guy does an egg every week, and basically it's got all different types of usually smaller toy lines like the Minecraft, stuff like that. Have you ever considered doing something like that, or?
I would love to. If I had the time, but I do have a full-time day job. I'm also a concert promoter. We just finished up with the Antique Village where Dan's got the booth, but that part of my life got replaced with Orion. So if I had a little bit extra time, I would love to do something like that. But I just it hasn't seemed to fall into my schedule lately.
Yeah.
So
you're always welcome to come on here too.
Yeah.
If you ever want to come back again and discuss your new finds, or there's plenty there to go through and look at. So probably do a couple episodes.
Looks like, Joe, you've got somebody who knows you. Optimal Primals is giving you a shout out, so maybe you say hi and let him know he's here. He must be a follower or a friend on the Facebook, and.
Yeah, and he's got a YouTube channel too. I'm sure he's leaving the link on it. He's got a new YouTube channel, and so if you guys are interested in and into it, he's a newer collector, and he's definitely very passionate about everything. So
Cool.
Every time he gets a new bot, I get pictures of it in my inbox, which I'm always happy to see.
There you go. Yeah, cool. All right, well,
awesome.
You guys got anything else? And Joe, I know you had the possibility of having to go, so I mean, if you want to, you can hang in here with us. We're going to go through our stuff and talk a little bit, and just whenever. All right, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Orion is sleeping now, so if you hear any angry babies, then you'll probably see me dip off.
Okay.
It's all good. We've all been there.
Yeah, I can hang as long as he's hanging.
There you go.
Yeah, cool.
Well, thank you guys for having me on, man. That was really fun, and not very often I actually get too many people that are looking forward to check out my geekiness here. So.
Well, is there anything while you're here you want to plug for future?
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to plug something you got going on or whatever, feel free.
God, I doubt you guys have a lot of thrash metal listeners in Southern California, but I'm running a couple of shows with DRI at M15 in Corona and Brick by Brick in San Diego, October 22nd and 23rd. And then the following weekend, I've got soil work with Decapitated for some, soil work is Swedish or Finnish metal band. They were pretty popular. And Decapitated, they've definitely got a pretty good following. They're a little bit more brutal, though, if you guys couldn't tell by the name. So
Yeah, really? Oh, really? I was kind of wondering about that.
yeah. Actually, you know what? There is one thing that is really cool. The bass player from Megadeth, David Ellison, he officiated our wedding,
Oh,
um,
nice.
and he was amazing. Best wedding ceremony I've ever seen. Not just because it was my own, but we had a lot of feedback. He was really good. He actually found a new band out of Phoenix, Arizona. They're called Dollskin, and they're 16 to 19-year-old girls, and they're punk rock. They got a little bit more edge than like Blink 182 or a little more edge than Green Day, but these girls are amazing. And the reason I want to plug them now is I think that they're going to be the next big thing. They just got a record deal. We're working on getting them signed up with a touring agent, and it would be kind of cool if I'm like, hey, you know what, I'm plugging them now. When next year they could be the biggest thing, and you guys might have their CDs or your kids might have them. So
awesome.
Yeah, I was actually gonna bring them up because I first heard about them through NerdCon when we were talking about that, and they were there, and I got on their YouTube channel and actually found some of their YouTube videos of their music and stuff, and I thought, oh, that's pretty cool, you know.
Well, Joe,
So-
feel free to put it up on the Facebook page too. If they have a Facebook page or YouTube channel, feel free to post it there. That way, other people can see it and search for it. So
We definitely need Joe back on again because he needs to give tips about, especially for single guys, on how to keep your collections when you get married.
Yeah, to take up your whole house. Yeah.
you got to get a storage unit and
Yeah.
live in there.
We just got my dad's getting a little bit older and they need a little bit more help, but we just moved back to my parents' house. But before we had our own place, and the way I kept it is my parents have a big house, and I have my man cave in their house. So
Oh, there you go. Nice.
so that actually worked out well because it is kind of tough when you got your own place to find a room. So if you don't have a room, find a family member that you visit a lot that does have a room.
There you go.
Take over. Or kick your kids out of the house like I did and take over their rooms. That's what I did.
I unfortunately have a little bit of time for that.
I've got a lot of time, and I'm ready to get working on number 2 soon. So
Good luck. Good luck and Godspeed.
Thank you.
Are you naming that kid Starscream?
Well, I'm teasing the wife. If it's a girl, I said we got to name her Meg. And I don't know if you guys watch Family Guy, but they had a clip of him naming Meg, and on the birth certificate.
Oh, Starscream. That's right. Or Optimus Prime, right?
Megatron. So.
Or that's right. Yeah. That's awesome.
So, don't know if that means they would have to fight a lot or not, though. So got to be careful.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, thanks
All
again,
right.
Joe. That was awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. So I will be quiet now and enjoy the rest, and I'll enjoy the rest of the show with you guys.
All
Awesome.
right. No problem. Who's up next?
Go ahead, Dan. You can go. I'll finish up.
I don't have a whole lot of stuff here, but I do. There's one. Kind of some cool things. One is like a follow-up. So back on, I don't remember what episode it was. It was back in July because I got a autographed. I talked about it. I think I showed a picture of it. Was all I had at the time. So I got this autographed at Comic-Con by Stan Lee, and it was kind of unexpected. So because I won the ticket to go get in the line to get his autograph, and so I had 3 hours from when the signing was. So I was running down through all the comic books trying to find something that was appropriate, something that was affordable, because they had $3,000 comic books. I could have gotten like Captain America #1 or something, or his very first comic book or whatever. They were expensive, and so I was trying to find something in budget and that was good, that would represent him. Captain America was Stan Lee's first character in the 40s, and so he wrote the Captain America character as his first one. So I figured this was cool. And then this particular issue is 109, and it's a recap of the origin of Captain America. So it goes and it kind of retells the story of Captain America. So I found this. Now, it was not in the best condition. I didn't pay what this thing. If this was brand new, I mean mint condition, it would have probably cost $300 or $400. I didn't. This was not. So obviously you see the grading it got was a 5.0, which is not the best in the world, but I like it because it's a signature series. So CGC does grading for you to authentic. So what they're doing is they're grading the comic book, but they're also authenticating the signature. There was a CGC representative standing at the end of the table with me when Stanley signed this, and so he became the official witness, and then I was able to send this off with them. They grade it, they put it in the slab, and now it's documented and serialized, and in one of the who knows how many hundreds that it's probably done. So anyhow, this is a keeper, so I'm gonna get a frame for this, and this is gonna go on my wall. So it's kind of cool.
Nice.
It
Awesome.
took 3 months to get this. I just got it in the mail like a couple of weeks ago. So I still have my Star Wars #1s that still haven't come back yet. But and I am got a bit of a cold, so occasionally I may have to mute because I'm gonna cough. And I'm getting ready to cough right now. Hold on a second.
Poor
Sorry
Dan.
about that.
Poor
I had to
Dan.
hit the cough button because I'm still congested. One of the neat things I picked up for my collection of media and media devices, I'm going to share screen here. With this, I'm going to share. Oh, I guess I closed that. So I found a 1949 Zenith porthole television, and found it at an estate sale, 50% off. So I'm not sure if it works yet. I have not plugged it in because the power cord is really trashed. It's frayed and it's in kind of bad shape. So anyhow, I got this. Some other pictures of it. It's like totally intact. It's got, this is the paperwork in the inside. It's got a schematic in the back. It's got a little bit of rust down on the power amplifier down here. So this is the audio amplifier, and you can see this cord. This is the power cord. Like this little section right here is like really, is really trash.
There's some electrical tape. You'll be good.
Yeah. Just tape it up. So I'll probably replace the cord and then see what happens. But generally, you have to go through it. For something this old, all of the capacitors are probably leaking, and there were some of the resistors are probably bad, so it probably has to be gone through. So whether or not I'm going to take the time to go through the whole thing, I just think it looks cool, just like it is.
Turn it into a fishbowl. I've seen people
Yeah.
do stuff like that.
So I mean, the plastic knobs, I'm so surprised. They're really fragile. You can see the plastic's kind of flaking up a little bit, but I've cleaned it up since this picture. This is the way when I got it. There's a piece of glass over the tube, so there's a space between the tube and this outer glass, and so inside has gotten some crystallization from, I don't know, humidity or something that got in there. So once I take all that apart, I'll be able to clean all that. And a little bit of the plastics is some of the plastic metals flaked off of it, but all the knobs work. Everything. There's this plastic mesh woven underneath, but this is definitely 1949. Then in the Zenith and the other television companies all made their televisions with this porthole look. They had this round, because they said the theory was it's better to watch television on a round screen because the lens of the camera is round. And so supposedly you're getting, but the problem was, or the falsehood was, when they transmitted the image, they transmitted it as rectangle. So the image was actually a rectangle image that was picked up by the camera, transmitted a rectangle to the television sets around the country. So you were actually looking at a rectangle screen. So it was a bit distorted. Sometimes the top would be, you'd see the top of the edge, you know. Yeah, well, you'd see the top edge because if it got too, so you had to adjust your screen, and you would actually cut off the corners of the image because it was round. So finally, I think it was in 1955, 54, 55, that all televisions went to the current, rectangle shaped screen like we have now. So
just like the one in Back to the Future, you're looking at a square.
Yeah.
We're watching the rerun of the Honeymooners.
Yeah. So yeah.
That's strange. You would think they would communicate or they would coordinate with the, the studios. I
Yeah,
mean, because they're marketing it like that, you'd think somebody would have actually looked up to see how they're transmitting the image,
yeah.
whether or not that would
But
work.
and they would advertise. The advertising would be like, the high technology of the portal screen. It's like the best quality because that's how it's that's how it's captured by a round lens of a camera and transported around. Whatever you could see it on round. But anyhow, so that's cool. I've got another television. I actually have a 1956 Admiral that it's a little bit more of a rectangular look screen, but it's still a bit rounded. But it's more rectangle, and that one works. I don't turn it on very much because I'm worried that I'm going to blow something up. So I don't. It's so fragile. Everything in it electronically is so fragile. It's also a combination record player, AM/FM radio and record player, and I use that all the time. But I don't turn the TV on. I'm getting ready to hook a DVD up to it and play old Lucy shows or something as a demo on it, just to kind of show it off, and I'd love to do that with this. So one of these days when I get to things, I guess I'll then. So another thing, while I'm in my pictures here and I'm doing my screen sharing, I talking about displays. I started working on my Star Wars display corner, and I found another corner in my house, and started to put some shelving up.
I found another corner.
It wasn't used.
I searched high and low, and I found another corner.
Yeah, I remember Erik was telling me a couple of weeks ago, like, how many corners do you have in your room? Because I was saying, this corner I have this corner I have this. I was like, I got like 8 corners in one room. So yeah, I found this other wall corner combination. I just needed to get everything out of boxes because I was like, I've been looking at more displays, and I've been on some Facebook pages for Star Wars collectors, and I'm seeing the display piece of it. I'm going, I need to do this. I want to be able to see this stuff. So I actually broke down those after I took this picture. I actually broke down and unboxed some of my new Force Awakens characters, the 6-inch characters, because you can open the box and take them out and put them back again if you need to. So I've unboxed them, and I'm now displaying them out and loose. And some of these other 3 3 3/4-inch characters like this one here, they're kind of boxed. They're not in not on the card, so you can open those up. And I've got duplicates of all these, and I may break those out, and that way it'll give me more room on my shelves and display everything kind of. And they're looking at Joe's display where he's got everything out of the box. It's like, that's what I need to do, man. I need to get everything out of the box and start setting up little dioramas and stuff to watch things here. So, and then. I've talked.
Dan, real quick, I think Brian has something for you, just before we get too far ahead.
Going back to the TV, Wade says, Dan, I assume you're new to TV has a cloth wrap power cord. Can you still get new old stock cloth power cords or repos or whatever?
Well, actually, this one doesn't. Now, this one has a plastic cord, which was original. But they do, yeah, you can buy, it's not new old stock, it's reproduction, because even the new old stock stuff is still old. It might not have been taken out of a box, but it's still really old and it's kind of deteriorated. So it's hard to find the cloth cords. Plus, cloth cords are really dangerous. They're nicknamed curtain burners because you'd plug your radio or your TV into the wall. And if it overheated, it would catch that cord on fire and it would burn your curtains, because usually your curtains are close by, your window curtains or whatever, sitting there. So they were called curtain burners. A lot of them had a ground wire or had an extra ground wire that went through there, and they usually didn't use it, and so it would become a curtain burner. But yeah, I have a couple radios that I do have the cloth cords on them, and I've checked them out really well. But yeah, they're still probably not as safe as what you should be. So the cord that's on this TV, I believe it's original. It's really deteriorated though. But I don't know. It may have been replaced maybe in the 60s and still got tore up. I don't know. It doesn't look like anyone's done any work on this television, so I had to back off. I was looking at it. It didn't seem to be too anything. But so anyhow, I talked about some of this Star Wars stuff before. Like this shirt came from the Empire Strikes Back. It was owned by Gary Kurtz, who was the producer. He had a huge collection that got bought out by another dealer, and I met that dealer at Star Wars Celebration and was able to pick some things up from him. That was actually these were given to the cast or the crew members while they were filming, so they didn't really have a logo, the official logo. They just kind of threw this together for Empire Strikes Back, and unfortunately, the shirt's like too small. It was the only one he had. He didn't have an extra large, or I'd be wearing it. But it's I just wanted it because it was kind of cool. So, anyhow, some pictures. I nailed some things on the wall, and a lot of my stuff's newer stuff. I have some older things, but mostly it's like either from Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi. I do have a couple things. I'm still kind of building some show stuff. Anyhow, let me get out of this. So I got this other cool toy. Let me see if I can.
Oh.
This guy. Let me turn him on here. So his eyes light up. He has a remote control that looks like this guy. I don't know if you can hear that.
Yeah.
Now, his wing is off. His wing fell off, and I have a hard time getting it back on. It snaps back in there, so it's hard to sit him here like this. But I mean, here you go. My dog. My dog's freaking out.
So is the dog?
What's that?
Is the dog back there remote controlled?
Yeah. She hears his noise, and she's like, "What's this?" The batteries are getting kind of low.
Does he walk, or does he do the...
Yes, he does walk, and the controllers have a left and right. Whoa. So there's like each one of these this is like forward, and you could do the right side first, left side. And it's gonna fall off my desk here. Come on, stop. So yeah, and you hold them both forward, and he goes forward. You pull them both back, he goes back. So I found this at a garage sale. I thought it was kind of cool. It's actually made by, it's called Wow. Made by WowWee Limited in China.
When's this from? Because and the only reason I'm asking is my son has a similar toy. It's actually a T-Rex, and it has the same kind of animatronic. And even the controller is kind of similar, where it's shaped like.
Actually, I think this has got a date. Hold on a second. I saw the date on here, 2001.
Okay, so it's still pretty.
Yeah, it's pretty new, but it's really sophisticated.
Well, no, I'm saying it's still 14 years old. I mean.
Yeah, it's got. This is like a rubber. All of this is rubber. Not like cloth or hard plastic. This is rubberized. This whole thing is rubber.
My son's is the same way. That's why I was asking, because his is the rubberized too, and it's a T-Rex that walks and does all that. Yeah, that's awesome.
A little wheel on his tail as he walks around, and his wings go. I think I could maybe do this now. One of his wings. I think there's a little clip that's kind of broken. Oh shoot! I turned it off. Turn on again. Come on. The batteries are getting. So when he does this, his wings kind of flap too. Anyhow, that's kind of cool. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I've played with it I've been playing with it more than anything right now, so get to play with it before I figure out what I'm going to do with it. Then I found this one the other day for like a couple bucks at a sale, and I don't know what this is. It doesn't have any marks except that it's made in China, but he does have a button somewhere. Oh, there it is.
Awesome.
Enemy destroyed. Hey, it works. Yeah, cool for a couple bucks. And I started picking up the new. So the Disney Store started selling some new, a kind of a exclusive Star Wars toy. They're called Elite Series. These are all based on they have some other ones too, but they're based mostly on the Force Awakens. and they have like Darth Vader, they have Darth Maul, and they have a couple other things. But these are all die cast. This is a 6-inch die cast character, so it's metal. The whole thing is metal. This is really heavy, and you can only get these at the Disney store. So I ordered this online. They ran out of the other ones. They have, I think, 3 or 4 out there. I have a Disney store in a mall near me. I haven't gone over there yet to see what they got, but they ran out of these pretty quick, and I got a couple of these. So this is kind of a neat thing because it's all die cast, all metal die cast. I've never seen a die cast action figure before. I don't know if that's new, if it's just me, or but it's all. And then there's plastic in the joints and stuff, so you can still move them, move their joints, move their head and everything. Trying to keep this, but got guns with them and everything. That's cool. Another toy. So I kind of on the toy kick because Joe has toys, and I just kind of pick up a bunch of stuff. So I got this week. Drive. It's a 1978 toy. It's a Ferrari, remote control Ferrari. It's in a box. 1978. Kind of cool. Now we got the controller. Unfortunately, there's some road cones that were in here that are missing, and the battery box in the car is a little corroded. I think it's still usable.
Them in there, or?
Yeah, well, there was no batteries in it when I got it, so at some point maybe they had, and then they took them out. But it's a bit corroded. I haven't put any batteries in it yet. I'm still going to play with it. But I think I can clean it up a little bit. It's still, though, going to be really visible, so it's going to be tough to. And then, switching to the. Oh, no, let's switch to this. So I found some really neat baseballs. These are all. These are all baseballs. Here. Too much glare, huh?
Yeah.
Trying to.
There you go.
Maybe I just hold it back a little bit. So these are brand new in a box. They're Little League, official Spalding Little League baseballs, and it's still sealed in the box. I think they're from about the 50s or 60s, somewhere around maybe the 50s. The research I did on them, I've got a couple of them that are in the box sealed, and then I got 3 that are in the box sealed. Then I have a box with an old ball in it, and then I have a box with, so they came wrapped in paper, and the original baseball.
Oh, wow.
And they're really good shape. Oh, why is it so dang? Right, I have to turn my lights, figure out my lights. Hold on a second.
There you go.
Yeah, that's better. It's not so bright. Yeah, it's kind of cool. These are like brand new. There's not a mark on this thing. It's like
That's awesome.
Because it's brand new. But so that I have like 5 of these Little League. But I do have. It came in this box. Was a official. Oops. This one here. This one is by Reach, which is, I think, is either, this was before Spalding. Spalding bought Reach.
Okay.
And so this is like early 50s, and it's official American League Baseball. So this is in the box. It is open, but the ball is in like immaculate shape. Still got this paper wrap in it, and it's marked. It's even got Joseph Cronin, who was the baseball commissioner at the time, and he was baseball commissioner from like the 60s, and I think he died in the 80s or something like that. But so this is probably like the 50s or 60s ball, but it's an official American League Baseball. Official, used in the game. It's kind of neat.
Where'd you find these? Were they all just in a group together?
Yeah, they were just in baggies, in a bag, and I bought them. I think I paid like $2 a piece for them or something. Nice. But I found this one for $70 online, so that was in worse shape. The box was tore up and everything. But some kind of the neat sports stuff, baseball stuff. One more thing. Oh, I was talking to you guys about this, showing you guys this, and I put it on the Allied Militaria Forum, the Facebook page.
Real quick, Dan,
Yeah.
did you get that other patch grouping that you asked me about?
Not yet. Oh, it ended today. It ended tonight at 6. I don't think I'm busy doing this, and I didn't check it. I don't think I got it. I needed to though. There were a lot of people bidding on it. It was on a Facebook site that I'm on, but I think I may have lost it.
I think the patches might have been good, but I'm not good enough with them.
That one black one. I thought they were
Mike Force one.
Yeah. Yeah, I was too busy getting ready for this. I didn't get on there and bid. I would have. It ended at 6 o'clock my time. So this came with this bag came with a whole bunch of stuff. Came with it's all for this one guy, Ronald. What was his name? Ronald Redfield. These documents were his. It's like a school training that he went to, signed off. They're dated 1970. So this stuff is Vietnam era. There's a hat in here.
It's like a VFW.
Yeah.
Type hat or.
That's their little reserve associations.
Yeah. And it's weird. It was crushed up in this bag, so I'm trying to flatten it out. I'm trying to put it. It had this neat flag, which it was all wadded up, and I'm just wondering if this was part of something that he kept as a souvenir, because I don't know, maybe it was. It seems like it was all wadded up like this, because it's the way it's all crinkled and everything. And then these, which is kind of interesting, these are for boots, right?
Yeah.
They're zippers. They lace on to the boot, right? And then you got a zipper. Is that what they're for?
That's what I'm thinking. That, or it could be pants.
Are they pants? Does it naval pants have that on the front?
They have the strings on the front, but I thought they still used the buttons for that, because that was kind of the Navy staple.
We tried those out with jump boots, because as MPs working garrison, sometimes you use the jump boots so you could blouse in your Class Bs and Class As.
Oh yeah.
Pants.
Okay, makes sense.
Sometimes we'd lace those in just for quicker access.
Okay.
And this is like for a whistle, I think.
I don't know if that's yeah, I guess so. Would it go on like?
It's got a loop in it to go around the neck. I don't know. It's too small.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking around the shoulder. I'm thinking it might have gone around the shoulder, Dan.
Like a shoulder thing?
Like that. Yeah. And then,
And there was a pile of these in here. And these are all new in the bag.
The officers.
And he was a
CPO.
Boatswain's mate.
Yeah, as a chief petty officer, boatswain.
Yeah. So there was all these are in here, and they're new. And then there was this one, which is a blue one.
That's his previous rank.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got one stripe.
Different colors, so Eric, you want to cover that one?
What's that? Oh, then you have your utilities or the whites, and then blues would be your dress, or I guess it would be garrison or.
And it took me a while to figure out what this was used for. I asked on the forum, and somebody told me, or I asked on the Facebook page for Allied Military. Those are his initials. This is like it's a giant safety pin. So what it's used for? It's used to tie up your laundry bag, and it's got your initials so they know who it belongs to when you send off your laundry. And it's a laundry bag pin. Laundry bag safety pin is what it is. And it's got his initials on it. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of these. There's like this one. There's a buckle and buttons. Little baggie full of. It's a brass belt buckle, and then some plastic buttons that have the. Take it out of here. That have the eagle emblem on them. And this stuff's probably not like the most valuable of anything.
Yeah.
But I thought it was kind of neat that it was all in one set and it had the guy's name with it and everything. But he's got then his name. It's got his name there. Here's on this green one, and then U.S. Navy on the green.
Oh, probably worn on a OG 107 shirt or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, and then this, which I looked this up, and it's I forgot what it was. It's a naval. It's like a training center for water. I'm gonna have to look it up again.
I'll pull it up. I'm thinking with naval information, something, I don't know.
And IOCT. Well, I looked at when I found this, I was looking up that a lot of the riverboat crews in Vietnam.
Naval Inshore Operations Training Center.
Yeah. So a lot of the riverboat crews were trained at this place. So I'm just kind of wondering if this guy wasn't part of any of the riverboat stuff in Vietnam.
It's possible. I mean,
I found it really.
Yeah.
I found it really. I mean, it's hard to tell, but without looking, that guy you sent me. Remember, you sent me a link to the the graves thing.
Yeah.
That might have been him because it said something about his wife living in San Diego.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So that was probably him because he had a link to the San Diego area in there. I mean, there was a link by his family. So I think that.
You mentioned him being naval, or in the Navy, Vietnam, so it kind of all links together.
Yeah.
First, middle, and last name are all the same. So.
Yeah, and I don't know. I went to the state, so I got this from, and I kind of think that he died in, I think we
2013 or 12.
Yeah. Well, yeah, something like that. So I'm thinking that maybe this was his wife was the last one, and most of the stuff was from his. These baseballs came from the same estate, actually. That I got that from. So, and that Ferrari car did. He had a lot of cool stuff. Yeah, well, that television too.
And television. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I bought that television from the same estate. It had some really cool stuff there. I mean, it was a lot of antiques and stuff. But yeah, that's where I got that. So that's about all I have. Oh, I got this weird game. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these. I didn't know what this was. I got it at a yard sale for like $2. I don't know. Joe may know what this is. I know what it is now because I researched it. Called Bakugan. It's a game. I'm not sure how to play it, but I found it's got a huge following in Japan mainly. Okay, so you get these balls. There's about 9 balls in there. Some of them are big like this, and some are little, but they're magnetic operated. So watch what happens when they hit metal. They fly open and they turn into this like robot thingy. And they spin around. I guess the action of them opening up makes them spin around, and they hit the other ones or something. So they like battle each other. So there's these cards, playing cards, that have a piece of metal, like a metal coin or disc inside of them. And I guess you lay those on the ground, and when this thing rolls or somehow hits that metal disc, then it goes bam, and they open up. And all the ones I got are different. They all open up into something totally bizarre. It just looks like this plastic ball, and then you hit this thing. I don't know if I can find it. There it is. You hit the metal, hits it, then it goes bam, and it turns into like this guy is now like a jet. And then they have legs. You can pull the legs out on them sometimes. It's kind of cool.
That's pretty awesome.
I was sitting there playing, opening them all up to see what each one of them do. There's a couple of the small ones that are broken. They don't all open up very well. But then there's some tiny ones like these. And then there's tiny, tiny ones. And then they do the same thing when they hit. I'm trying to find a place. Ta-da. They open up into like little dragons and little crabs and dragons and bugs and all kinds of cool things. And they have they're a point system of some kind, because inside in the writing there's like 400G. Like 100K, 400K, so there's like points or something that they have. I don't know. I haven't taken the time to figure out how to play it, but it's kind of interesting. Something new I learned, and in the toy field, I always grab toys, even if I don't know what they are, so I can research them and figure out then what they are. I don't know if anybody out there is anybody sending anything about me. If you don't want them, who? Optimal says if I don't want him to send them to him. Well, I'm sure. Well, we'll make a deal. We'll make a deal. Maybe we'll make some deal. I'll trade you. Okay. Let's see. That's all I got. I mean, I could go forever. I got all kinds of stuff laying around here, but that's kind of the latest and greatest little goodies I've picked up in the last week.
Yeah.
Hey, is it okay if I interrupt just real quick?
Sure.
I was checking my Facebook page, and I tagged a bunch of people to check this out. One of my good friends, the singer of Green Jello, who played NerdCon. I don't know if you actually got to stay for their set or not, but they had a real big hit, Three Little Pigs. He tuned into the show. I don't know if he's still on right now, but if he's watching, this guy, I mean, they did really, really well with Green Jello back in the 90s. It was the biggest video ever on MTV. He's been in commercials and movies, Dumb and Dumber, and but he has got, his house is like a toy lot, and he's got so much cool stuff. Like, I just see the pictures of it. He's got Flintstones moving car, like cars for like little kids to ride in at the grocery stores, and just toys of everything. I don't know if he'd be anyone that you'd be considering on having the show.
Yeah, we like anybody that collects anything. We wouldn't mind talking to them, because it's really interesting to see how they get started, what kind of stuff they got, how they display it.
Yeah.
So it teaches everybody else how to do it too, and kind of gets people motivated if they're interested in to start doing it.
Well, Bill, if you're still watching, hit me up and I'll link it up. You'll definitely have an entertaining show. The guy's the best entertainer I think I've ever seen. So.
Awesome.
So. All right, Erik, you got stuff?
Yeah. So I was just gonna kind of hear some military medals, and I figured maybe hopefully teach some people something in the process. So this kind of all came from on the thrifting board. There was some discussion about what medals are allowed to be sold on eBay and things like that. So I'm gonna do a quick screen share here. Just bear with me. All right, so this is the Purple Heart, but I'm kind of using this as a guideline of, the anatomy of a medal. So up top here you have your lapel pin, and this is kind of would go into the lapel button on, I guess a non-military uniform, just to denote that you were awarded that medal, and in this instance is a Purple Heart. Below that, you have the ribbon, which you would wear, on your uniform, and then the medal itself, and that's broken down into 4 different components. You have the brooch, which is where the actual ribbon is mounted through. You have the drape, which is the entire ribbon brooch included. You have the suspension, which is where the medal itself is, mounted to the drape, and then you have the planchet, which is, the medal. So I'm just throwing this out there so that, because I'll probably be using a lot of these words as I go through this, and just don't want anybody to be confused. So next up is the different brooch styles, and what you can use with this information is you can determine the age of the medal, whether it's newer or older. So at the top you have your wrap brooch, which means that the brooch wraps around the entire back part of the medal drape. And then next down you have your split wrap brooch, which is, pretty obvious. It's the same as the top, except for the metal pieces are missing from the middle. Then you have your slot brooch, which is the ribbon itself is actually wrapped through a slot that's in the brooch. And then you have your slot crimp brooch, which is the same as the top one, except for it's kind of pinned over on top and bottom. And then you have your crimp brooch, which is what more modern medals today are using. So with the first 3 here, they're typically indicative of medals that were from World War II and earlier. There are some exceptions for medals that were used into Vietnam, but for the most part, if you find a medal with this style brooch, you can pretty much guarantee it's vintage to World War II or earlier. With the slot crimp brooch, this is something that was for a brief period used in the 50s, and then eventually they adopted the crimp brooch. And actually, the crimp brooch was even being used, immediate post World War II, and then further on, and is being used to this day. So this is just kind of a different engraving styles. So Valor medals, and there's some other medals that are engraved with a soldier or a someone or a serviceman's or woman's name, for various reasons. It doesn't always denote that they were killed, although sometimes with the Purple Heart, that's what it would signify. So the first one here would be hand engraving done in the 30s, and then in the middle here you have hand engraving that would have been done in the 40s during World War II, and then lastly you have machine engraving, which started sometime after World War II, and then continues to this day. And this is how most medals are done today. So you can see, I think the hand engraving adds more flair, whereas the machine engravings is kind of boring. And then there's other engraving styles that fall in between these that are a little more elaborate. So these are some medals, and then above are mini medals. So you have full size below, and in our middle or mini variants above. And this is how you typically would see it worn, kind of in rows like this. And usually you would see it on a like an evening dress uniform. So rather than wearing the ribbons, they would actually wear these mini medals here. So here's the different ribbons, and this is kind of just going over the different devices that you can find, or the more common ones. So the first three here, these are all campaign ribbons. You have your Vietnam campaign, your European campaign, and then same below that. So the devices on here are called campaign stars, and you have bronze and silver. So bronze would signify, so the ribbon itself or medal would signify the campaign that you participated in, and then, I'm sorry, would signify the theater that you participated in, and then the star would signify how many campaigns within that theater. So for example, the middle one here, this person was in the ETO and participated in 4 campaigns. And then the left item here is an arrowhead device, and that signifies someone who participated in an amphibious or airborne landing during a campaign or operation. And then the silver star here would signify 5 campaigns. So rather than having 5 stars, the silver would jump it up to 5, signify 5. And then to confuse it even further, below you have what is a service star. So this would only apply to service medals. In this case, it's the American Defense Medal. So it signifies, service in a different area. So the medal itself means that they received that medal or the ribbon, and then that means that they had service in a certain area. And then below that, you have your oak leaf clusters, and what these do is they signify additional awards of the same medal. So here we have, I think this is an Air Force Long Service ribbon. So that means they received 1 award, and then each of these oak leaf clusters would signify 1 additional award, so 3 awards in total. And then you have your Valor device. So this is a Bronze Star ribbon, and then the Bronze Star can be awarded for valorous and non-valorous reasons. And in this case, with the V, would signify a Valor award. This is just kind of show the different ribbon sizes. So up top here you have what is called a 1/2 inch ribbon, and then below you have a 1/8 inch ribbon. So you can see, significant, size difference. The top ones were synonymous with service in the Navy and the Marine Corps. They usually use these, but although you saw some Army guys, and this was, pretty much during World War II. And then below that you have, your standard Army size ribbon. And then, as you can see, some were slide on, some were, pinned back. And here's just kind of show you different examples of the many ribbons and how they're being worn, things like that. So that was just a little touch on it. What I'm going to do is I'm kind of going to go through some different medals and, just to show you the different styles. Anybody have any questions so far? Or am I boring everybody with this? I guess is the real question. No comment. All right.
No, it's cool. Since I know some of this, so it's like I know some of this, but it's I like to hear it because I'm always finding these things, and every time I go out, and I'm looking at them, and I see them all the time, and I know there's so many medals and bad stuff out there. It's like, it's like people just they're like throwing them away. It's like, well, is this really? Is it worth collecting? Is it? My problem is I don't know enough about the insignias on each one to know like what they represent. I don't have it all memorized, and so I mean I could look them up. I usually just buy them all, and then I take them home and Google
Look 'em
all of
up,
the
yeah.
images, right, to see what are they, what are they for. It still doesn't tell me like if they're unique, because a lot of them, every soldier got some of these.
Well, here's the problem is, and finding comps too is another issue, and it's kind
Yeah.
of something that we touched on the thrifting board is, the eBay restricts the sale of Valor medals. So basically, your Purple Heart, your Silver Star, Distinguished Service Cross, Navy Cross, those medals, and obviously the Congressional Medal of Honor. Now, all of those, with the exception of the Congressional Medal of Honor, are perfectly legal to buy, sell, and trade within the United States. There are a lot of people talk about the Stolen Valor Act. That has nothing to do with the buying and selling of medals. It was originally instituted to prevent people from making a financial gain by saying that they served in the military when in fact that they didn't. And actually that was turned over recently because they say, well, freedom of speech, so therefore, you really can't prevent somebody from saying that. So that has nothing to do with the buying and selling of medals.
Oh, okay. Everything I've seen on that has been they've associated with buying and selling. Well, the Valor Act, whatever, they say, oh, you can't sell them; it's illegal. That's not what it means then. Okay.
No, it's not. And it's the only medal that is illegal to sell is the Medal of Honor, and even that is questionable. It really depends on how you read the language in the act that actually does specify, medals and them being allowed to sell, etc.
Yeah.
But basically, any other medal you can perfectly, it's perfectly legal to buy and sell. eBay has a policy against it, and it's strictly just their policy. It has nothing backed up by law.
Right.
If you do want to get into collecting, I will recommend a book which I use, habitually, and it's called the Call of Duty. And basically, this book covers every U.S. medal, dating back to the original Purple Heart, which was called the Purple Badge of Merit, issued by George Washington, and then everything in between. So the Medal of Honor, Legion of Merit, campaign medals, et cetera, et cetera. So it kind of touches on all of them. It gives a brief background of, when they were instituted, the different styles, things like that. So it's just a invaluable resource. We got one of those? Which one?
No. Go back. There was that black, red, and white one. What's that one?
That's the Kosovo campaign. Nah. Is that you?
Kosovo? You been to Kosovo?
Here's Global War on Terrorism. You probably have.
No, I was looking for the Army of Occupation.
The Occupation. Well, I have one. I'll show you a picture of that. That's no problem.
I thought that's what you said, the Kosovo.
Yeah, it looks like it, but it's not. I have a picture of that. We can share that one. So, so this is a really, really great book to have if you're going to get into medal collecting. It's probably the best resource or tangible resource on U.S. military medals. And obviously you have multiple forums, things like that you can, kind of use as an addendum to the information that you need. So I'm going to do another screen share here. We're going to share some medals that are in my collection. Just to kind of go through. So first up is a Silver Star, which is, a Valor medal. This is a World War II example. It's got a slot brooch. This is a typical World War II through Vietnam style case. So this is what they would use to actually issue the medal in. So the front, has a name. Obviously depending on the medal. And then this is the medal that would have come in that case. This is a Legion of Merit, also a Valor medal, or exemplary service medal. So this is a full wrap brooch. This would be a World War II example, and then this is a crimp brooch, which would be a post World War II, probably Vietnam era. Here's your Distinguished Flying Cross, World War II era. Here's Bronze Stars issue case, and then here's the Bronze Star, and as you'll see, it has a V device, signifying a Valor Award. And then here's another Bronze Star, and this one's actually engraved with the veteran's name. Valorous medal, and this is from Vietnam, and you'll see it's got a crimp brooch I'm sorry, slot brooch. So they continued to use that in the Vietnam. They actually printed massive quantities of these in preparation for the invasion of Japan during World War II. However, they didn't use that stock because we obviously dropped the bombs, and so they had a surplus, and they continued to issue them, into Vietnam. Here's your Purple Heart box. And there's different boxes even. I don't have any. Actually, sometimes the boxes can sell for more than the medals, especially like the Navy boxes and the Marine Corps ones. So here's a World War I style Purple Heart. And when I say World War II, they actually instituted a Purple Heart in 1932, and they issued it retroactively for World War I and earlier service. So there's Purple Hearts that were actually issued for wounds received during the Civil War. Which is pretty crazy to think about. So if you were a Civil War vet alive in the 30s, and you could send away to have a Purple Heart issued to you because you received wounds during the Civil War. Earlier Purple Hearts were numbered on the side here. Another way you can tell an earlier Purple Heart is they had an enamel insert, which is kind of hard to. It doesn't really show well on here. Later versions had a plastic insert, which this is actually an enamel insert also. There we go. So you can see it's kind of more rounded. So this would be a later version. So this is a World War II style Purple Heart slot brooch, and then this is a Vietnam one. However, again, for the invasion of Japan, they manufactured a surplus of these and continued to issue them. So here's your air medal. These were pretty popular World War II and Vietnam, especially because air medal was, helicopter. You could earn. I've seen 15 to 20 air medals being awarded.
Wow.
So here's a World War II version with a slot brooch. It's kind of beat up. This is actually one of the first U.S. medals I ever picked up. And then here's a later, more modern example with a crimp brooch. And this is a Army Commendation Medal and a 50 style case. So they use like this plastic case for a short period there, and it's got all of everything in there: the lapel pin, ribbon, and here's the front and back of it. So usually, in some instances, it would actually be engraved on the back to the whoever was awarded to. So those are just some examples of valor and meritorious service medals. So we'll get over to these are all campaign and service medals. So bear with me for 1 second. All right, so this is an early campaign medal. This is for the Haitian campaign, which was 1952, and I'm sorry, not 1952, 1915. This was a Navy award. There was also an Army version and a Marine Corps version, which was later. And most early campaign medals are numbered on the rim. And actually, sometimes you can depending on the medal, you can actually research who was awarded that medal based on the number on the rim. Unfortunately, this one I wasn't able to. This is a Mexican border service medal. And actually, this one was in a fire, and I cleaned this one up. It was completely burnt on both sides, and I was able to clean up, both, and kind of bring that shine back up. And then I replaced the brooch and the ribbon on it just to make it more period looking.
Oh, cool.
Somebody had threw like a cheesy ribbon on there. So this is your American campaign medal. This is for World War II service, within the continental U.S. And borders, but in an active duty status. This is the original box that would have been issued in. Then you have your European, African, Middle Eastern campaign medal, and this would be, for service in the ETO, Middle East, Africa. This is actually this one was issued by the U.S. Mint, and you can tell because it has a slot brooch. Not common to see with that. Usually you see them with the crimp brooch. A lot of these campaign medals, they originally issued just the ribbon, and then later on they issued the actual medal, in the late 40s. So here's another box. This is for the Pacific campaign medal, or Asiatic Pacific, and this is, crimp brooch. Then you have your slot brooch counterpart made by the U.S. Mint. This is China Service Medal. This one's pretty beat up. This one, somebody glued it as to display it, they glued it to a tail, which I thought was kind of strange.
Oh,
so I was able to kind of peel it off a little bit, but it was, pretty raggedy. So this would be the Navy version for China service. So service within China. And this is the Vietnam campaign medal, and with the original issue boxes, and you can tell the date. These are both, this one's 69, this one's 1967. So this is how they would have been issued. And here's the American Defense Medal, and this would have been for service prior to the outbreak of World War II, or basically prior to Pearl Harbor. So if you enlisted prior to that, you would have been entitled to wear this medal. And here's one that you probably have, Brian. This is the National Defense Service Medal.
Thanks for joining. Here's a ribbon.
Yep, there it is, pretty much. That's probably the first ribbon they pin on you after you sign your paperwork or complete boot camp.
Oh, you can know your name. Here's a ribbon.
Exactly, yeah. So with this, you can earn, so this is for each, I think you can earn it for Korea, Vietnam. So you would add or stars or service stars on it, and I'm guessing it's the Gulf War, then a global war on terrorism, and I forget there's another one that they kind of use for a third one that's in between the 90s and today.
I don't know if they use Bosnia for that or not.
I'm not sure. Yeah. So basically, it would just denote your service during a major war. So from Korea on up.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, oh, you're in the military during this time. Okay.
Yeah.
Here you go.
So this one is the same medal, but I think I shared this on a previous episode. This one was actually made in Japan. So it was a theater-made medal in Japan. Same medal, it's just that, they manufactured them over there. And here you go. Here's your Army of Occupation medal. This one's Japan. There is a Germany bar, and I think now they don't even have the bars, right? Or do they denote where the actual service is still? Or did you wear a German bar?
I'm trying to remember, because I never had the medal. All I had was like, here's a ribbon.
Okay, gotcha.
I never had the medal, and I wanted to say the medal was actually specific to Berlin.
Okay. Well, and the reason why I asked that, here's the Navy version. It just says Asia rather than Japan. So, just kind of signifying Asia over a single place. So here's your World War I Victory Medal. This is the box that it would have been shipped in with the soldier's name. And then here's the medal itself, and it has a little rosette here you would have worn on, your lapel. And then here is the same medal. However, it has all of the different campaign bars. So rather than using the campaign stars that we used in World War II, they use these various campaign bars for the different, defense sector, Aisborn, et cetera, et cetera. There's multiple bars that you can, this one's a PA World War I National Guard Service Medal. So a lot of states and counties issued their own medals during World War I, just to, show service to veterans, who are from that state or county. So this is the PA version for World War I service. And here's your World War II victory. So that was the box of issue. You can see it's dated 1946.
It's cool to have the boxes. I like the boxes too.
Yeah,
I always like the boxes.
And there's different manufacturers too. That's the fun part of this, is you can, collect the medals, but then you can also collect variations of the boxes.
Right.
And some manufacturers are scarcer than others. So this is a slot brooch, so this would be an earlier version of the World War II Victory Medal, and then, most commonly you see them as a crimp brooch. So same medal, just a different brooch, that's all. And we're back to the start. So we have one more area I'm going to do, and bear with me. So this is one that I hope Brian earned. Oops.
With the big green pickle.
All right. All right, so this is the Good Conduct Medal. Brian, did you earn a good conduct?
No,
Do
he's
you understand what my position was?
That's true. That's true. I would hope that you did. All right. So the good conduct medal during World War II was during World War II they loosened the reins, at least for the Army, where you just had to have 1 year service during World War II. However, typically you have to have 3 years service in good standing to be awarded the Army Good Conduct. So this is a World War II version with a slot brooch. A lot of the World War II versions you'll see will be engraved to the soldier on the back of the medal. Actually, here's one right here. This is it's kind of it's not coming through very well, but this is an engraved version. And this is actually a crimp brooch, so it'll be a later version, possibly Korea or later. But you'll see it's got the lapel button, ribbon, and the medal.
And basically, do not get Article 15; they'll give you a medal.
Yep, pretty much. So this is a full wrap brooch good conduct medal, which these aren't common at all, and these were actually numbered on the brim or on the rim of the medal. So these were very, very early versions. You don't see these too often. I lucked out. I had just found out that these existed, and then a week later I was at a antique shop or at a flea market and stumbled upon it. And I was like, what are the odds that I just find out they exist and then I find one? So here's the Air Force version. They pretty much copied exactly the Army version and just changed the ribbon color. So so this is for the U.S. Air Force. And then here's the Navy version. So this would be the World War II or earlier version. It's got a long drape with this kind of barred off shape and a different suspension. And then the later version, they changed it up to a crimp brooch and changed the drape style. There is a Marine Corps version. I don't have one to share, so I'm not going to just pull a photo off online.
What was this one again? The Marine Corps version of what?
Well, there is a Marine Corps version, but I just don't have one personally.
Oh.
So I'm only sharing ones that are from my collection.
Okay.
So,
and what was that one again? What was that?
That was a Navy one.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's the
Navy
Army. There's an Army version.
Good conduct, right?
Good conduct. There's an Army good conduct, and U.S. Air Force, a Navy, a Marine Corps, and a Coast Guard.
I think I have a Marine Corps one.
The Marine Corps has a rifle. Has a rifle across, or it's got U.S. Marine Corps across the top, and then a rifle at the suspension, and then the medal.
Yeah. I think I have one actually in a case downstairs. My father-in-law was in the Marine Corps, and I have his sword in a case with all his medals and stuff all put together in a case. So I bet I got one down there.
Okay, nice. A lot of times they were engraved. They're very collectible. The Marine Corps ones. There's early versions too. I mean, the medal stayed the same. Into the World War I and earlier even. Into the 1800s, they were just the same style metal, and the engraving on them is very, very embellished, and they're highly collectible because of that. So the later ones, like into the 50s, they just went with the stamping, and it's kind of boring. But the earlier ones are just really, really nicely done medals. So that's it. I mean, I thought maybe this might be useful. Somebody if they're looking to get into metal collecting. I know one thing when I first started out, I would always forget how to tell, is this a World War II medal or later? And the key thing is the brooch. Looking at the brooch, the type of brooch being used, you want to stick with a wrap brooch. Basically, if you see a wrap brooch, a full wrap brooch, a split wrap brooch, or a slot brooch, you're looking at World War II vintage or earlier. Anything other than that, you're looking at something later, especially the crimp brooch. And unfortunately, most of the time that you want to go for the earlier versions because they are more collectible and not to talk about money, but are more valuable as well. So. And of course, the Valor medals are the ones that always actually between the Valor medals and the early campaign medals, so the ones from pre-World War One. So like that Haitian campaign medal, there's some campaign medals that can sell for thousands of dollars. They're not collectible. Whereas you would think a Purple Heart, oh my God, it's a Purple Heart. Sadly though, it doesn't always translate to value. It really depends on the scarcity of the metal. So
It's kind of like the market's flooded with Purple Hearts.
yeah, but so that's it. That's all I have. The only other thing I was going to do is my weird item.
Yeah.
So this was kind of this is my actually I mean not a collectible per se, but my grandfather's. He was in the Scouts. I collect scouting stuff. I was in the Scouts myself. So this was his old bolo, and so you would wear this around your neck, bolo, and it's actually a
Oh wow, it's a rattlesnake head.
rattlesnake head.
Oh,
It's always a good memory for me because I just remember him always wearing this, what he wore, whenever we would go on camping trips or at scout meetings. So that's his
that's cool.
his rattlesnake. And the only other item I have, these are always funny now, because we're just so saturated when it comes to sex and stuff like that. So this is a World War II pamphlet, Sex, Hygiene, and Venereal Disease. And GIs were overseas, and some of those French women, you just don't know what they had. So this is kind of a little pamphlet on kind of keeping it in your pants, and if you don't keep it in your pants, you better put on some protection. They did issue prophylactics, and I've heard quite a few people who have purchase uniforms, and they'll look into the pockets, and sure enough, they'll find a prophylactic sitting in there.
Still in the pocket.
So this goes over everything from syphilis to gonorrhea, and everything in between. It tells you about when you become going to manhood, and stuff like that. So a lot of guys that were.
It was written by the government. It worked very well, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's U.S. government. This is 1940 dated. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but
So it doesn't have an FM number?
no, this predates the FM number. But so this was in that 101st grouping that I have. So I just thought that was a weird item. But that's all I had.
Cool.
And then we had some Facebook items. We had a few people who posted some Facebook items. I'm gonna share those real quick. I'd like to see some more people post stuff. So feel free to add after this. Bear with me for 1 second.
So while you were there, I was unboxing my die-cast Stormtrooper. I put him in. Put him on a stand. This thing weighs 10 ounces because it's all metal.
Oh, there you go. Look at that. It's pretty sweet.
The only problem is he doesn't have the flexible. His arms won't go in more than that. So you know how you want him to hold the gun with two hands? I can't get him to hold the gun with two hands.
Oh, that stinks.
Wow, that looks super cool.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, it does. Real
Really,
detail. Real detail too.
And the more I take these out of the boxes, I'm like, now I know why you want to take them out of the boxes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
It's a
cool
lot of
looking.
detail.
It even comes with a stand. This one has a stand. It says Star Wars on it, little black. It's got a peg for his foot. The only problem is it took me, while I was sitting here, there were nine twist ties on this thing holding it into the package. It took forever to get them out of there.
Best thing, because all my bots come with the twist ties, fingernail clippers.
You just cut them out?
Yeah, fingernail clippers. Sometimes scissors are hard to really angle just right.
Yeah.
Those fingernail clippers take care of it.
Yeah, I hope I could put it someday. I'll just put it back in the box. I try not to damage it as little as possible. Trying to keep everything intact, But yeah, he's kind of cool. I love this. This is really neat. This is heavy, man. I've never seen die cast. I don't know, just because I'm new to kind of this, but I've never seen die cast figures.
And see, I'm old, so do the arms move on him, or is he
Yeah,
just
yeah.
pretty much? Oh, okay.
No,
All right,
he
cool.
moves. He's got his hands. He's got movement in his hands.
All right.
His elbow, legs. I think there's some swivel on the waist, but his arms won't go together more than what they are right now. I can't put him in anymore. His shoulders don't go in anymore. His arms will bend and twist, and they'll go down like this and stuff. But because I wanted to have him hold the gun with two hands, and I can't.
Yeah.
I can't get his arms together. That's kind of a bummer. I think you can do that with the plastic 6-inch ones. This might be a little I don't think this is 6 inch. I think it's bigger.
Yeah, it looks a little.
It might be 7. That's my tape measure. I'll tape measure here. Let's see what it says on the box. You have to be age 3 or up to play with this.
You get carded for that?
Carded.
You guys pick up any of the Star Wars Christmas tree ornaments from Hallmark?
I've seen them around, but no, I haven't. No.
You're talking about the You're talking about the exclusive ones, the Hallmark's exclusive.
Yeah, I just picked up a Megatron. They came out with Megatron this year, so I had to get him.
Okay. No, I have Darth Vader. I always pick up one each year. Just dork up my Christmas tree a little bit, or nerd it up a little bit.
Who would have thought they would have come out for something for us to actually want to put on the tree, right?
Yeah, exactly. Some of them are awesome. Real
Yeah.
detail too. I mean, they're just so expensive. That's the only problem. You're looking at like sometimes between 20, $25 just for an ornament. So.
Yeah. But they'll get us. We know what we want. So.
Yeah.
Berta says, "Oh, he wants a hug." That's what he looks like. Oh, he wants a hug.
There you go. Have you hugged your stormtrooper today?
With the blaster in his hand. He wants a hug.
So real quick, let me just do the Facebook. So we had Dana here, or Dana. I'm sorry, Dana. She shared her SpongeBob alarm clock, which I thought was awesome.
That's a weird thing. That's cool.
I asked her if it made any, if SpongeBob actually talked with the alarm, but she said it just beeped. Which I thought they could have done a little bit better than, they could have had him talking.
Erik.
So, yes, sir.
Nina is a guy.
Oh, my apologies. I am sorry. I didn't look in their profile. I just assumed. All right. So my apology. So Dana shared his alarm clock, which I thought was awesome. Then we had Angie, who shared this really awesome looking piece.
I think that's cool.
Yeah, Frankfurt Brain Globe. It's an Art Deco lamp. So here it is, kind of all lit up.
And just to be clear, Angie is a woman.
Yes, I know Angie is a woman. I know that. Hey, look, no. Hey, you're knocking me. I mean, Dana could be both. I know I've known guy and girl Danas, so you can't knock me for her. So here's a close-up of some of the detail on a really, really nice looking piece. So those were our 2 shares on the page. Hopefully we'll get some more people who will share their weird, strange, or odd item from their collection. So, anybody else have anything else to share, or we all? I think we've reached our time limit here. We've gone over our time limit.
Yeah,
so.
we haven't had a guest in a long time, so
it's
nice to take off and just kind of let him go. And this is great.
Maybe Drew will return one day.
He was actually in the chat for a little while. I don't know if he's still there.
Okay.
Yeah, he showed up, said he got in late, so he wasn't able to make it. That's cool.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much covers the whole show, and thank you for everybody coming on. For viewing us live, and Joe, thank you for coming on. Like I said, you're more than welcome to come back. Like we said, there's so much to your collection. I'm sure we could probably do 2 or 3 more episodes just going over it. So, Brian, as always, thank you for moderating and keeping the question board under control, and then Dan and the Stormtrooper friend wants to give everybody a hug. So, but that wraps up. Thank you everybody for joining Collector's Catacomb, episode number 32, and we'll see you all in 2 weeks.
Good night, everybody.
Bi-weekly.
Yeah,
Thanks all.
in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Wave.